Good evening and welcome to the West Covina City Council. It is now 7 o'clock and we will begin our meeting. First, we'll start the meeting off with our invocation. And I was wondering if Lisa Lamb was here from Community Presbyterian Church. Seeing Lisa not here at this point, I will lead the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mayor Pro Tem Steve Hurhurst. Please rise. Dear Heavenly Father, please be with us and guide us as a whole, as a community, reach together, keeping us all safe, our families safe, and our community safe. In Jesus' name, amen.
Please join me in our pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Clerk, roll call, please.
Mayor Sanderson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Herford.
Here.
Councilmember Sotelo.
Here.
Councilmember Sykes.
Here.
Reporting out from closed session.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, members of the City Council. The record should reflect the City Council convened this evening for the one item that was listed on the special agenda, which was conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, West Covina Improvement Association versus City of West Covina. The record should reflect that public comment was received. Two speakers did address the City Council. That after the public comment period, the council recessed into closed session. A briefing was provided by the City Attorney's Office with all four members being present during that briefing. That there was no action taken this evening. However, there was a motion to continue this special meeting to a continued special meeting, adjourned special meeting of from Tuesday, February 5th to Thursday, February 7th at 5 p.m. in the City Manager's Conference Room. However, public comment period has been open and closed for that, and it will just be merely the council convening to discuss this matter in closed session. That is my report from closed session. It's appropriate to continue with the open portion of the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Mr. City Manager, any changes to the agenda?
No, there's no changes to the agenda tonight.
Thank you. At this time, I'll come forward, and we have a few certificates of recognition for our volunteers of the year. I'll come forward, and we'll meet those people. Always such a wonderful time. Can everybody hear me? We have a few wonderful volunteers of the year. Our first one is Miss Norma Marks. Miss Norma Marks has lived in West Covina for over 50 years. She is an active 22-year volunteer at the Women's Club of West Covina and also active at Queen of the Valley First Baptist Church. Please join me in welcoming Miss Norma Marks. Please come forward. Honor to present this award to you on behalf of the City Council and the citizens of West Covina. Thank you so much for being a vital part of our community. Without our volunteers, we wouldn't be the great community that we are. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next wonderful volunteer is our Recreation Services Volunteer of the Year, Miss Carolyn Lakowski. Miss Lakowski is an active volunteer at Gallister Wilderness Center since its formation at the center of the park in 2006. She's one of the people responsible for Twilight Tuesdays program at the park during the summer. So I'd like to call forward and introduce Miss Carolyn Lakowski. Please come forward. Congratulations. Thank you so much for being a vital part of our community. Thank you so much for coming tonight. We really appreciate everything everyone does. You know, I know it's just a certificate and award, but it means a lot to us in this city that you volunteer your time. It's greatly, greatly appreciated, so thank you so, so much. Our next is our well-known volunteer of everything, I think, of Senior Services Volunteer of the Year, Mr. John Hughes. Mr. John Hughes has been He's been active senior in the community for many years and spent countless hours making a difference in the fight against for the MDA Association, and we've all seen him on TV and all he does so much for our community. He's the leader that's helped preserve the city's annual 4th of July celebration and has raised so much for our residents and everyone for the MDA. Thank you, John, all you do, and the wonderful treats that your wife makes all during the holidays is well appreciated as well. You guys are a wonderful family to have in the community. And with that, on behalf of the citizens of West Covina and the City Council, we'd like to recognize you for the 2012 Senior Services Volunteer of the Year. No, you can't. Always. Yes.
Oh, thank you very much for this award, and just like to let you all know that this past year we were able to give money to Good Samaritan Hospital, Children's Hospital of Orange County, Rancho Los Amigos. We were able to send many children to summer camp for a week, and we had our annual Christmas party at the Elks Club. This coming year, plans are underway already. March 17th, the Police Reserve are having a pancake breakfast at the Elks Club from 7:30 till 11. I hope you'll all come out. June 1st is our dinner dance auction at the Elks Club. June 24th is our golf tournament at South Hills Country Club. And, of course, July 3rd and 4th, our big annual celebration. And I'm not sure when the fire department's going to fill the booth. I haven't heard of that yet. But I want to thank you all for your support, and I hope you'll all come out to our events this year. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And we'll make sure to get those dates and get those up on the board for the residents. And I don't know how he does it, but thank you for doing so much for the community. We really appreciate it. Thanks, John. John, come back. A little dinner gift certificate. We'll make sure to get these to normally. Thank you. And Carolyn, are they still here? Oh, yes. There you go. This is after Del Rey for a table of 8. I'm coming. Oh, yes, here we are. Yes, sorry about that. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry if you wanted to say anything. We have oral communications. And at this time, we have concluded our presentations. We have our oral communications. If those of you are not familiar with that, we have yellow speaker cards at the top of the stairs that you can fill out on agendized items or non-agendized items. Let me remind the people that are speaking on non-agendized items, we really can't go into any kind of depth, but we would be more than glad to try and address any concerns that you do have by calling the city manager's office. Call and talk to me. More than welcome. I'm sure the council, we can do whatever we can help you. And I'm going to give our city manager, Chris Chung's phone number out, which is 626-939-8401. Call us, and if you need any kind of help or assistance. And with that, I will call forward our first speaker, which is Ross Koosman.
To the clerk to make distribution to the council members regarding the issue I'm bringing before the council. First, I want to thank Mr. Iatzi for stopping at my home after work to discuss the problem, the issue. I'm here to address an issue concerning city code enforcement involving a particular ordinance. I have been a resident of West Covina for the past 50 years. The same location, 1253 South Wilson Drive, close to the intersection of Merced and Lark Ellen. Both the real property, landscaping, and lawn has been maintained in an impeccable condition, and that's part of my issue here this evening. Please refer to Exhibit 1, which is a photo of the residence in question. Over 45 years ago, we realized that the new adjoining property owners may not choose to maintain their property, and we installed a low-profile border consisting of professionally installed cinder block along one side of our property line, which is Exhibit 2, and a shallow brick planter along the opposite side of our property line, which is Exhibit 3. Unfortunately, the property owner at 1247 depicted in Exhibit 2 to our left planted a sago palm or a group of sago palms on their side of the border, which ultimately grew well over 5 feet, totally obstructing our vision from the oncoming traffic when backing out of our driveway. On more than one occasion, on 3 occasions, we were almost T-boned upon leaving our driveway. Since the property owner gave no intention of remedying the problem, we were left with no other alternative but to contact the city, in which corrective action was not taken until sometime approximately 10 months later, at which time the obstruction was removed. Without provocation, the property owner at 1247, aggravated by our complaint to the city, retaliated by filing a complaint regarding our borders, which in no way were an obstruction. Our brick planter is 80 feet from her property line. On January 30th, I discussed the matter with Mr. Yahtzee at my residence location and asked why I was in violation when our planter, the brick planter in particular, was not adjacent to any driveway. Mr. Yahtzee advised me that I was cited because it was called in by a neighbor, otherwise it would have never became an issue. Moreover, because I have fallen victim of a highly contentious and litigious next-door neighbor who files an absurd complaint in retaliation, the city is going to legitimize her complaint by imposing a financial burden on me. When does this nonsense end? Finally, the retaliatory complaint filed by my disgruntled neighbor regarding our planters have absolutely no impact on her life, but rather simply provide property enhancement of the adjoining properties. These planters were installed well over 45 years ago. In closing, I'd like to mention, in driving around the city, I've seen hundreds, well over 1,000 residents that have their brick wall that runs all the way to the curb in neighborhoods that do not have sidewalks. There's not the brick planters next to the curb. It is bushes that are well over 42 inches high that are next to the curb. I do not mean next to the curb, not 5 feet back from the curb. I have not contacted West Covina Beautiful yet, but I would think they would support my landscaping. Does the City Council really want to destroy good landscaping that has been in place for over 45 years at my residence and possibly at well over 1,000 residents in West Covina? If the City Public Works Director and City Manager cannot employ common sense, well, my next step, I guess, will be to file complaints of the hundreds of violations throughout the city. If that's going to be considered a viable solution, then that will be the alternative. Are there any questions, please?
Could we have the Public Works Director address the violation, what it is? The yard looks immaculate, so there must be something I'm missing.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the yard is immaculate, as I explained to the resident, and some people do know that the first 5 to 10 feet, depending where you live in the city, is actually part of the city street, so it does belong to the city and it's the property of the city. Our code requires that if you build any structure or plan anything over a certain height in it, that it requires an encroachment permit from the city. Unfortunately, we had to cite the neighbor. We used the same code to cite the neighbor to require them to remove their palm tree, and unfortunately Mr. Kusuman was also turned in, and we have applied that code to his property.
Is it possible that maybe there's a statute of limitations if it's been 45 years?
It may be. We'd probably want to consult with the city attorney's office or see if there's any other options for a variance.
I would suggest, this is the first we've heard of it, so I'd appreciate the opportunity to have the city manager get together with our attorney and the city Public Works Director and address the issue.
Mr. Chung.
Yes, I was advised of this issue, and there was a time limit that was imposed on him to correct this issue, in which I stepped in and I said, well, hold off on that for now until we look more into this. So just wanted to relay to him that we have not completed all the potential options to try to resolve this issue. So we are still looking into that.
Very good.
Okay, if you'll give us a little bit of time,
Yeah.
we'll definitely address the issue.
And we'll contact you, and I'll be more than glad to meet with you as well with city staff and address your issues. Thank you so much for coming tonight. Our next speaker is Herb Redholz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and good evening to you and the council and all the residents here. Herb Redholz, West Covina resident. In the past week, there's been two published reports indicating that our fire chief, Paul Segala, will be leaving, maybe they're calling him now, leaving our employ and going to another jurisdiction. I wanted to take this opportunity to, number one, thank him for his service to the city and the residents, and also to offer a suggestion, and perhaps we can take advantage of this opportunity. It is not unprecedented in this city to have one department head oversee two departments or more than one department. And it is my belief that with the budget constraints and the financial issues the city is facing, I would think this would be a golden opportunity to at least do a cost-benefit analysis to see if it is feasible to have one department head oversee police and fire and, if you will, create a public safety division. This has been done in other cities. It has worked successfully. We also happen to be very fortunate in having a police chief who has, in my view, all the capabilities to oversee both departments. I think that this is a good way to go in the fact that we need to save some money here. And I'm not suggesting at this point that the department, that the responsibilities be combined or merged. I'm only suggesting that one department head oversee both. I'm also not ruling out the other possibility. It could be something that could be looked into later if necessary, but I think it's a good idea to take a look and at least explore the idea of having one department head oversee a public safety division. With that, it has also been reported recently that a trustee has been named in regards to the Hassan Imports and West Covina Motors situation, and due to the fact that a balanced budget was presented by the council to the residents based on tax flow coming out of a new operator there, I would certainly hope that the trustee finds someone to take over those dealerships in a hurry and start to sell cars, because every day in the paper you read about Chevrolet selling and Ford selling and Chrysler selling, and unfortunately our dealer in the past is not selling any cars because he ain't got no cars. So that would be a big help to get that thing up and running, and I hope that happens quickly. I would also, I did submit a letter for the vacancy of the council, and I appreciate your taking the time to read it and consider it. And I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is John Shoemaker.
Thank you. Many people have expressed an interest to being on the council. Many are qualified. Herb Redholz, for example. Herb has institutional knowledge covering 20 years. Herb has served on multiple commissions. He is thoughtful on issues before him and independent. He helped shoot down the unnecessary, unneeded, and illegal office complex at City Hall. Lloyd Johnson, decorated Vietnam veteran, always tries to do what is right. He'll speak his mind and will work to set the priorities in the city back to residents and away from outsiders. Andy McIntyre. He and his family have helped develop this city and surrounding communities. They put their name on projects and keep those projects, unlike other developers who build something then head out of town. They do everything with quality. My concern is the obvious ties to developers and issues it may cause. Due to extreme political views, and general overall temperament, Mike Spence is not qualified to sit on this council. This arrogant individual do nothing more than use his position on the council to push the agenda of those who do not know West Covina. His political financial support comes from not our city, but outside our state. Mike Spence will use his position to raise funds to push his anti-immigrant, anti-gay, anti-choice, anti-woman, anti-minority positions. During his time on the West Covina School Board, his direct actions result in the district paying $100,000 in damages for violating the rights of teachers to speak on their own time. This person intentionally interferes with the rights of others to speak. Ask the leader of NOW in the San Gabriel Valley. His campaign committee, which was fighting immigration issues, was fined $35,000 for not reporting who was in charge. Claimed he was not the chair of the group fighting immigration issues, but told the radio audience of John and Ken he was the chair of the committee. This individual with extremist gun views. He once stated in front of our city council that anyone who wanted to should be allowed to carry a gun on a school campus. Anyone. He claims public safety is most important to him, but was against the school district paying to continue having a police officer on campus at the high school. He stated it was not his job. California federal law makes it his job to protect children. Spence stated he believes government should stay out of your life, but clearly does not hold that view if you're a woman who wants to make a choice, or a gay and want to marry the person you love. This is an individual who questioned if a woman who just had a baby should receive a promotion because she should be home with her child. His comments about children with weight issues are legendary. On a blog titled Save the Whales, he referred to children as Fatty Patty, Burly Hurley, and Obese Clarice. Spence does try to help children, though, with weight issues. Spence has voted against every program to feed hungry children in our schools for 20 years. He once stated there are no hungry children in West Covina. If there are any, it's because their parents spent their money on drugs. While the school board was discussing upcoming events, Cesar Chavez Day was mentioned. He loudly stated, "I was thinking about celebrating the day by working in the fields or people's yards." This is an individual who received a censure by fellow board members for telling a teacher to go F himself. What did the teacher do? Ask Mike Spence to say hello to his father, who was a longtime colleague. This happened during a board meeting. This is the person, with not getting his way, threatened to F the teachers union and told a member of the janitorial service to watch out, she was next. Happened to be a Hispanic woman. Mr. Sotelo, you should be extremely aware of Spence's attitudes and intimidation tactics from your wife, who's an employee of the school district. Spence has lobbied for this position, will say, look at how well the school district has done the last few years. He will not mention that prior to a change putting him in the minority in the district was having severe financial problems others were not seeing. His fiscal watchdog statements are false. Lloyd Johnson pointed out that money spent on a school is $12 million, and Spence stated we only spent $4. Lloyd was proven correct. Our city does not need an individual who can tell you what he's against. Women, children, minorities, unions, immigrants, and anyone who disagrees with them. We need a leader without a political agenda, with the background and knowledge to help to move the city forward. Someone who will determine what our city should be doing, will increase police and fire protection, and give us a real balanced budget at the end of the year. Mike Spence should not be considered, as you have many other great choices. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Elsie Messman.
Mayor, council, staff, and everyone here tonight. My name is Elsie Messman, and I'm a resident of West Covina. I heard rumors that our next council member will be Andrew McIntyre, who only comes to council meetings when the McIntyre Company has a project and they want it passed or want numerous variations. Example, the condos on Sunset. The McIntyre Company and its affiliated companies and relatives bearing the McIntyre name donated at least $8,747 in a race in 207 to Sotelo, Hereford, and Armburst. Let's see who these two vote for tonight. Looking back to 207, CGM Development also donated $1,750 to Sotelo, Hereford, and Armburst. Is this why Hereford and Sotelo voted to destroy the hill? As we all know, money talks in this council. There are numerous people here tonight who attend council meetings and planning commission meetings who know what's happening and care about our city. I hope for the city's sake you will take the people into consideration and not just vote for someone for a yes vote. My next subject is our city manager. When we needed a fire chief, we went all the way to Chicago, as no one in the 5 fire stations and the surrounding area were supposedly qualified. Surprise, now he is leaving. Now we have a city manager opening, and we knew he was leaving for almost a year. We were paying Mr. Pazmat for his services while he was collecting his pension, when Mr. Chung was here all along and getting paid. In December, on a 3-2 vote, the council gave the city manager's job to Christopher Chung. Councilman Sotelo was somewhat confused. He voted no to hiring Mr. Chung, but yes to giving him a 3-year contract. I guess someone in council forgot to tell him how to vote on the contract. This is the same Christopher Chung who sued the city and then Councilman Hernandez for millions, claiming that the stress from this job caused him to have high blood pressure, ulcers, and diabetes. He also asked for $3 million job security until he retired. Both the city as well as now Assemblymember Hernandez won the lawsuit, but it cost the city approximately $936,235. Is this who we want as our city manager? Is Christopher Chung going to repay the city for the million, or is this our $1 million manager? The only winners seem to be the attorney and the council. Residents lose again. It would be a good down payment on a fire truck. Only in West Covina can an employee sue his employer because of stress, lose, get his attorney fees paid for, and then get a promotion to even a more stressful position. West Covina still needs a quarterback for a city manager, not a rookie. Perhaps now that former Mayor Toohey has resigned, our council meetings should be shorter. No more history classes. I, as well as others, are glad to see him go. Don't think for a second that he won't be involved in some way as long as there's money involved. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Dawn Oberlin.
Esteemed Mayor and City Council members, thank you for your service to the city. I'd like to say that first. I moved to West Covina in 1959, and as you can imagine, I've seen this city grow into the multicultural mecca that it is today. And it's because our residents are our greatest and most valuable resource. It's in the interest of their safety that I'd like to address the council tonight. Escalating gun violence is on everybody's mind today, as it should be. And it doesn't really matter where you stand on the issue of gun ownership. Preventing gun violence is important to us all. Right now, there are hundreds of firearms in West Covina households that have the potential of falling into the wrong hands. Many of these residents that are gun owners by default. Some of having inherited guns from loved ones passing, which happened in my case. I inherited half a dozen guns. And they set from my father-in-law when he passed away. They sat around my house for a while before I realized when I'm on vacation, some burglar can come in and pick up an arsenal. Well, Wouldn't we rather see some of these guns safely disposed of than to have them sitting around in a drawer or a closet where they could become part of the next suicide or murder or domestic violence or just a tragic accident? Many of these weapons can be easily procured with a simple gun buyback program. Studies have shown that a firearm in a household is 22% more likely to shoot a family member than it is to shoot a criminal. The West Covina City government has a proven record of leadership in crime prevention programs, which is a big part of why we like it here. But today, in the face of escalating gun violence in the country, we can take an important step towards the safety for our own residents. The recent successful gun buyback programs in Los Angeles and Seattle have shown that hundreds of residents are willing to trade dangerous weapons for grocery gift cards. Over 2,000 guns were traded in LA alone, not to mention shoulder-fired missile launchers. This can be a win-win situation that'll help instill security and trust to our residents. It'll create a positive publicity and respect for our city and its government. It'll bring profits in advertising to our local merchants. And most important, it has the potential to save lives. And we can all have a hand in this, keeping West Covina safe from gun violence. It's one simple step that we can implement here locally. I'd like to ask the mayor and the council to help bring about a local gun buyback program. We can invite Stater Brothers, Vons, Target. A lot of these retailers have already participated in these gun buyback programs, and they realize the benefit of it. They can bring the gift cards to the program, and these gift cards will bring customers back to their businesses, often spending much more than the card's value. West Covina Police or the local sheriffs could collect and dispose of the guns using the city yard, and they could use any profits that they might get off of the guns to cover their costs, though I would prefer to see most of the guns turn into rebar for a city project. The trust and the pride that the mayor and the city council would generate among the constituents would be notable and long-lasting. So I'm asking you to consider moving forward with an action like this. We can help willing gun owners remove these dangerous weapons safely and possibly save some lives. Any questions?
Yeah, I'm familiar with LA's gun buyback program. Who funds it, other than, you said, some gift cards donated from the stores, but did the city fund that? Or
the city funded that one,
okay.
Or pretty much. They've been doing it annually, even San Diego annually. But getting these local retailers to put gift cards in is not impossible. That's most of the small buybacks are just retailers putting in their gift cards because they realize it's just like a 2-for-1 coupon. Why would I give away a 2-for-1 coupon? I could sell 2 of these things. Well, if you get somebody in the door, you get them in the door, you got a sale. If you don't get them in the door, you throw the 2-for-1 coupon away. This is Stater Brothers has been cooperating with them. They're getting ready to have a gun buyback in San Bernardino. So the sheriff's department there is doing the collecting. Yeah, I'm sorry. Any other questions? I kind of got crazy there.
Thank you.
Well, I want to thank you guys.
Thank you very much, and I would like to talk to the city manager and possibly our chief about the program, and we have your number, and maybe you'd be interested in helping us finding the avenue. So thank you so much. Our next speaker is Mr. Lloyd Johnson.
Good evening, council members. First thing I'd like to read, I have a few of them here I want to read. The first one is from the city council minutes of November the 6th, 2007. Well, I'd like to know who wrote this resolution. First of all, it's D-6C, EPMC/RHS supplement, miscellaneous finance department, EPMC replacement supplementary retirement plan, supplemental retirement plan for executive staff and council. Recommendation is that the city council receive and file this report. And that was voted on. Ayes was Lane, Sanderson, and Toohey. Herford and Hernandez were absent. The next one I'd like to read is from the City Council minutes of November the 20th, 2007, which would be the following meeting. It's D-4D, establish of an EPMC replacement plan for various employees, groups, and supplemental retirement plan for executive staff and City Council. And the resolution 2007-79, the resolution of the City Council of the City of West Covina, California, authorizing the establishment of a public agency retirement system, PARS supplemental retirement plan for executive staff and City Council to be administered by the Phase 2 Systems PARS Trust Administrator, and appropriate $97,050 from the General Fund Reserve and $68,126 from various special revenues funds and the CDC. And that was voted on Ayes, Herford, Hernandez, Lane, Sanderson, and Tui. 1 week you wanted to receive and file, and next meeting you voted yourself in for it. Now what I'd like to do, I'd like to hope everybody listens to what this is, and remember it comes election time. The establishment of a supplemental retirement plan for the executive staff and City Council supports the goal of retention of recruitment and quality of city employees. The plan has 2 tiers. Tier 1 provides an additional retirement amount to the miscellaneous department heads and City Council, in the amount equal to the amount of the retiree medical benefits received by the police and fire chiefs. The amount is currently $550. That was in 2007. Tier 2, now this is where our council sold the residents of West Covina out. Tier 2 provides an increased retirement benefit to the city manager, consists with the terms of his contract. This Tier 2 plan will convert the retirement formula for all years prior to CalPERS service at non-West Covina agencies to the CalPERS 2.5% at 55 formula currently in place with the City of West Covina, and contains a 2% annual cost of living adjustment consistent of CalPERS position. The city will pay for cost for both plans. The project annual cost of the EPMC retirement plan to the city is $166,659 annually. The projected actual cost of the executive staff and City Council supplemental retirement plan is $165,176 annually. The physical impact, the EPMC replacement plan has an annual cost of $166,659. The cost of $165,176 for the executive staff and City Council supplemental retirement plan will need to be budgeted to various general fund, special revenue, and CDC accounts, with the general fund portion being $97,050. Now, what I'd like to read real fast here, I got another minute, is, council members, what I'm going to say is facts, and not something that I made up. I know a lot of people have been accused of making up things, but these are facts. To Mayor Sanderson, in 2007, you along with Councilmember Herford and the rest of the council voted to give yourself a supplemental retirement plan in the amount equal to the amount of the retiree medical benefit received by the police and fire chiefs. At that time was $550 a month. At that time, our fire equipment was already 7 years old. Why were you more concerned about your own retirement benefits than our fire and safety equipment? Mayor Sanderson, I know you told me personally that you would never vote for a utility tax to help keep our fire and police departments if that's what it took. You said you'd rather see the county come in and take over the fire and police departments. And if a tax was passed, you would move out of West Covina. You can't deny saying these things because they are true. You say you voted no on selling the Civic Center Hill. That's because
Excuse me, Madam Mayor. Speaker seated there 5 minutes.
Okay. No problem.
Our next speaker is Robert Kunsa.
Good evening, everyone, council members, and Mayor Shelley Sanderson. My name is Robert Kunza, and I'd be honored if you chose me to fill the position left vacant by Michael Toohey. As a longtime resident of West Covina, I have vested interest in the well-being of our city. I have lived here for over 50 years, taught at Holland Crest Junior High School, and started my business here over 30 years ago. At this time in my life, I would like to become more involved in the decision-making process and the future direction of our city. This city has always been home to me, and I would be honored to serve the people of West Covina. If education is important to you, I got a long list of schools I went to, and I still have a couple, well, I have 5 more minutes. Thank you for the extra time. I went to Mount SAC. I got my AA degree. I have a BA in social science from UC Irvine. I have an MS educational administrative credential from Cal State Fullerton. I have 2 teaching credentials, social science and industrial arts. I have a vocational credential from Cal State LA, 60 units towards my MBA, a contractor's license, a pilot's license, and I think I've played every sport there is. I have 10 years in experience in taking care of the elderly. I had 2 parents I had to personally take care of until they passed away. I am a father of 4. My oldest is in her 2nd year of medical school at USC, and my youngest hasn't started school yet. So I have a lot of experience, and I'm here if you need me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Anthony Narano. I'm sorry, I can't read that very well. I apologize.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Anthony Naranjo, and I'm one of the residents of the community that also put in my letter of interest in serving on the City Council. First off, I'd like to start out by thanking our City Clerk's office. I think they did an outstanding job of facilitating everybody and getting their paperwork and what is necessary. So I'd like to just say on a personal note, thank you very much. I'd just like to enter my letter into the record, so to get on a personal note to meet each and every one of you. I've had the opportunity to know some of you in the past in my former City Council membership in the City of Azusa, but for those that don't, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council of the City of West Covina, I respectfully submit this letter of interest in serving on the remaining term for office of the vacated seat of the Honorable Mike Toohey. I believe I have the knowledge and the experience, as well as the willingness to serve the residents and the business community of the City of West Covina in the capacity of City Council member over the next 10 months, and would welcome to a return to election in November of 2013. As a former member of the Azusa City Council and Mayor Pro Tem from 1988 to 1997, I served the residents of my community with an open policy and decision-making process. I was a team player. I played along with my City Council and staff and Mayor in providing the expertise and experience to maintain open transparency in city government and to make our city a better community. I have lived in the San Gabriel Valley all my life, 40 years in the City of Azusa, and I chose West Covina 1 year ago to be my home. Yes, I'm a newcomer to the community, if you want to consider as far as residency, but I also ran my business here as a construction company for 7.5 years in the City of West Covina. I am very interested in looking at the City of West Covina as my home, as I believe that the proximity to the Los Angeles Basin, the Orange County area, and the overall diversity of our community is a community that I really welcome and want to have my family here. They are here with me tonight to enjoy. I believe the city needs someone that can, from day one, take the responsibilities of the office with the needed knowledge and experience that I believe I have to offer. West Covina, like all other cities in the state of California, at our major crossroads of financial uncertainty. The loss of redevelopment agencies, coupled with the loss of county, state, and federal taxes, pass-through taxes, city taxes, and other funds, has made the problem more crippling for each and every community. And I believe, like West Covina, like all other cities, needs an experienced leader who can, from day one, take off and look at new ways to generate new taxes without taxing the citizens of our community. There is other avenues and other ways that we can look at outside of the box that are available that I believe the city has not yet looked at that can bring in new and generated revenues that can help the community to get through this budget crisis. I believe that I have always and will continue to support public safety. I believe public safety, both police and fire, is paramount in any community. I think that's the first stepping stone to be able to generate new revenue, new businesses, new residents, because without that safety, no one will come. I have always shared that support in my community. I worked hard to establish our new, at that time, the state-of-the-art police department facility. I understand public policy. I enjoy working with the city manager and staff on a daily basis. I don't believe my job as a city councilman would be to micromanage. That's not my job and that's not my authority. But I believe it's a good cohesiveness to work closely with your council and your staff to make sure that that cohesiveness is there so that we can address the needs of the community and the citizens and to provide them the expertise to make sure that everything that they are asking for is addressed. I understand public policy and enjoy that. In final summary, I have successfully ran 2 campaigns, 2 recall elections, and survived both of those, 2 regular elections. And so I do have the expertise and the experience, the knowledge, and the finances to again run in November of 2013 when the office is up for re-election. So as that, I'd just like to say thank you to the City Council. I understand it's a tough job you have here. No one's ever going to be happy with decisions. Some are going to be happy and some aren't. But I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you on behalf of myself as a candidate running for that open position. And I welcome any comments or suggestions. And again, good luck and the best of luck to all of you and the decisions you make. And again, thank you for the City Clerk's office and the job they've done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Philip Marino.
Council members, members of the city administration, and members of the audience. What I have is a 3-page statement with 3 supporting documents. This statement is directed to the West Covina. I'm sorry, Ms. Anderson, I put down council person when you're the mayor, so I'll change the wording on that since you do have that title and deserve that respect. To West Covina Mayor Shelley Sanderson and all West Covina taxpayers. The subject: West Covina taxpayers want Mayor Shelley Sanderson to answer some questions. When individuals were hired by the city of West Covina, one of their benefits was to be given a California Public Employee Retirement System, or PERS. That's the acronym, pension. The first item that I have attached to this written statement is a photocopy of page 6 of an article titled City of Bell Scandal. The third paragraph of page 6 describes that the City of Bell established retirement accounts, quote, to avoid retirement limits for public employees and to benefit Rizzo, Spacia, and a select few council members. Another account was found to be set up to benefit only Rizzo and Spacia, letting them evade IRS regulations which cap government pensions. The second item that I have attached is a photocopy of a 4-page letter to me from the city of West Covina dated June the 7th of the year 2012, which shows that Mayor Shelley Sanderson and 4 other city council members voted in 2007 to give themselves, and I quote, all benefits provided to the city's department heads, unquote. This letter to me was in response to my request for any and all documents authorizing deferred compensation plans for West Covina City Council members. The third item that I have attached is a photocopy of a 3-page resolution in which Mayor Shelley Sanderson and 4 other city council members voted to give themselves not the original retirement plan that you had after 5 years, but a supplemental retirement plan. This resolution was approved at a city council meeting of November the 20th, 2007, without so much as any council member discussing it at that council meeting before all 5 voted to approve it. Why should the city council have discussed this new expense for their new benefits? Page 2 of this resolution Paragraph 4 is titled, "The Fiscal Impact." The second sentence of this paragraph reads, "The cost of $165,176 for the executive staff and City Council supplemental retirement plan will need to be budgeted to various general fund, special revenue, and CDC redevelopment accounts, with the general fund portion being $97,050. Now remember that the redevelopment agency does not exist anymore. So that portion that used to be paid by redevelopment is now paid out of this city's general fund. Mayor Shelley Sanderson would have been entitled to a pension after serving 5 years on the city council, but that was not good enough. So she voted to give herself an additional or supplemental retirement plan and a deferred comp plan and the benefits of the city department heads. But the city council was not finished spending on new benefits. On page 2 of this 3-page November 20th document, Mayor Shelley Sanderson and 4 other council members voted to approve the following supplemental retirement plan for City Manager Andrew Pazmat. Tier 2, or Andrew Pazmat's supplemental retirement plan, reads as follows. Tier 2 provides an increased retirement benefit to the city manager consistent with the terms of his contract. As Lloyd already quoted it, this additional benefit will cost the taxpayers of West Covina millions. It says that we're going to pay Andrew Pazmat for all the years he worked for other cities. Why should the taxpayers of West Covina pay for Andrew Pazmat's employment in another city? You voted for that? To clarify, in 2010, under the title of Capital Improvements, West Covina Fire Department included the need to replace 1 fire engine. That capital improvement request of the fire department went ignored by the city staff in 2010, 2011, 2012, and still the fire department has not been given the okay to order a needed fire engine. The city of West Covina upper management, Mayor Sanderson, and the city council have taken care of their wants at the cost of the citizens of West Covina's needs. This city transferred $20 million of general fund reserves money to the city's redevelopment agency. That money should have been used to pay for fire and police equipment and could have paid the salaries of city employees who have been laid off.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor. Speaker received their 5 minutes.
Mayor Sanderson and the council members were paying themselves $1,200 a month in redevelopment and giving themselves supplemental benefits with these redevelopment dollars. You guys have a lot to explain to the citizenry when we're losing fire and police and you can't replace them. Change your benefits.
I'll be more than glad to meet with you because a lot of the statements that have been said. Well, if you'd like to get some answers, we have the city attorney that can answer some of the questions you've asked. I'd be more than glad to address your questions. First of all, this was a written letter, so we'll have it for the record. I'll meet with the city manager and the city attorney, and we can address Mr. Marino in a written response to make sure that he has all the accurate information. Next speaker tonight is Boris Doherty.
Good evening, West Covina City Council members, Mayor Sanderson, staff of West Covina, the citizens of West Covina and others present. A few years ago, I was here to ask the then City Council, of which there are 2 members left, to select the best candidate to fill the vacancy when Roger Hernandez left for Sacramento. Now we know how that went. Luckily, the ballot box was instrumental in undoing that damage. Now we're here again, and it seems like there's a lot of turnover in the City Council. And quite frankly, I don't have the confidence that most of you will select the best candidate again. Now, will you select the candidate that is most qualified based on a specific criteria? Or will you select the candidate that can best play the game, the candidate that can in a sense, join the clique that would be beholden to special interests, such as the unions and companies such as Athens and McIntyre. So to gain confidence in the selection process, basically you need to make this process more transparent. What specific criteria will you select? What weightings will you give in terms of city government experience, community involvement, and other types of criteria that would that would be required to select the best candidate. I went to a workshop at UCLA not too long ago and was talking to admissions counselor and how they select the candidates for their college. And it's a very complex process. So I hope that you have a process that leads to the selection of best candidate and not just a gut feeling that it will be the best candidate or the person that you prefer. In terms of the candidates, I would think that you have many to choose from, that some will be more qualified than others, and we have heard from some of them today, but it is very important that the candidate not be tied into any special interest from the get-go, that that candidate is independent, someone that can be a problem solver, pragmatic, and that will be the best candidate for the city of West Covina. Mayor Sanderson and Mr. Herford, I hope that at least for this you will take off your special interest tinted glasses and really make the best selection for the city of West Covina. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Shirley Buchanan.
Good evening, Mayor Sanderson, Mayor Pro Tem Herford, City Council members, staff. First of all, I have two thank yous. I would like to thank the new city manager for responding in writing to the question I posed at the last council meeting about the $12 million the city must keep from redevelopment to cover costs to run the city to the end of the fiscal year. I and several other residents concur with his plea to the Oversight Committee last month that we need the money. Then I, as a very long-time resident of West Covina, want to thank Captain Sakala for his outstanding service as fire chief, and we wish him a smooth transition into his new position at Chino Hills. Now on to other business. In a January 29th, 2013 article in the San Gabriel Valley Tribune about Captain Sakala leaving, there was mention about aging fire equipment, and I quote, "Our fleet is in a state of disrepair," Sakala said. "Everything is getting old, and so there's been a number of times in the last few weeks when we've run out of equipment, front-of-line equipment." He also stated that a challenge for the department is its aging fleet, causing it to have to borrow fire engines from Los Angeles County and Laverne departments. With the $100,000 gift from Athens to the city a few months ago, couldn't that money have gone toward upgrading equipment? I have a cartoon here that a friend made up for me, and as the cartoon shows, are we, the residents, letting our city go backwards and end up with horse-drawn fire engines? I know this might be an exaggeration, but not too far off if our council continues to give out Cadillac benefits to executive staff and city council members and neglect the safety of the people in the community that are paying the bills. Isn't having the very best equipment and a full cadre of firemen and equipment that we want, anyway, we should have the very best fire department and equipment. The next thing I would like to say is we all should know it is not a perfect world, but we can make it better for others when decisions are not made on what's in it for me. The Cadillac benefits this council has approved for themselves over the last 2 years, and at the same time approving layoffs, has hurt so many. Did it occur to you that those you have laid off have nothing until maybe they get another job? If they are lucky, they may get 35 hours with no benefits. Could you have saved some jobs if you had given up some of your benefits. Here in West Covina, we have a part-time city council with the very best benefits anyone could ever want. At least 2 have very good retirements, and at least 3 have very good medical. Isn't that enough? Please give this your serious consideration to give up some of your benefits as the city continues to lose money and more redevelopment money. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Alfred Williams.
Good evening. My name is Alfred Williams. I'm a 35-year resident of West Covina. Mayor Sanderson, Mr. Herford, Mr. Sotelo, and Mr. Sykes, and the rest of the staff. I'm here tonight to talk about the candidates who are applying for the office Mr. Tui has vacated. It has been a perception in West Covina that the present council only elects those who represent their particular area, lifestyle, and who votes the way that they do. This has been a problem because usually perception is more real than fact. This council has also in the other offices and commissions and have also elected people that seem like they come from the same area. This has been a problem. Well, when I finally got a list of all the candidates that were running for the office, I wanted to verify their residence to see how many actually came out of South Hills area. When I started trying to verify the residents, I only found actually 12 that I could verify, that their addresses agree with what they, even though when you put stuff on the network, they were redacted out, the addresses and telephone numbers. But I was able to verify 12 of the actual addresses of some of the candidates. 4 of those I couldn't confirm. And there was one that really stood out. It hit me right away because when I looked at the 12, it always said in the tax records, is this owner-occupied? And most of it said yes. Then you looked at where did they receive their tax billing? And it said same address. But when I got to this one, which is Andrew McIntyre, here's what it said, that he and somebody by the name of Edward Stokes own a house in South Hills. Then I looked to see whether it said owner-occupied. It said no. Then I looked to see where the tax bill went, and it said it goes to auto body shop in Covina. Well, to me, that's kind of deceptive. I don't know whether Mr. McIntyre really lives in West Covina or not, but I have a problem with that. With the other ones, with the 4 I couldn't verify, maybe they were staying with a parent or a relative or something. I don't know. But when I see something that stands out that glaringly, I think there's a problem. And plus, I don't like the idea of Mr. McIntyre and his company contributing so much money to at least 3 candidates that are sitting here now, 3 council persons that are sitting here now, and also one that is no longer here. But they contributed quite a bit of money. And I can't see this person voting on anything because every time a vote comes up on something, he's going to have to recluse himself. So I don't think he's a very good person to put on this thing, on the council. Of the persons that I kind of thought that would probably fit in this, I found 2 that I kind of like. And maybe that's not the reason why you put it on there, but most of them have been here at all the meetings. They've been present. They took an interest in the government. And even though both of them live in South Hills, I think that they are two people that should be considered. And one of them is either Cervantes and the other one is David Stewart. And I think you should consider these 2 people on your list. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Irene Fleck.
Good evening. I feel a change of pace is perhaps okay. I've got news from the library, of course, and one of our best things is the co-partnering with the Lit Fest, with the City of West Covina, and with the County Library and Friends of the Library. And I just want to remind people, I know you already know about it, but on February 15th to 17th, there's going to be a San Gabriel Valley Literary Festival. And this is the first annual one, and I think that it's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's going to address all kinds of authors, artists, and poets. There will be booths all over, and it'll be around City Hall and the library. There will be presenters and all kinds of opportunities. I think that if anyone can just come and drop in and see what's going on or pick up a program. And it's the 3 days over the President's holiday. It'll be from noon to 9 o'clock. So I hope everyone will come out because it's going to be a really, really fun thing. And the other thing is our second Saturday meeting is going to be a specialist from the Diabetes Association. And it's going to be on health and food and on snacks. And there's going to be a demonstration of making a decadent chocolate dessert. And I think that something like that sounds kind of fun, particularly for people who have to really watch what they're doing. And, you know, I have another question. This month is West Covina's birthday, and we're 90 years old. And I understand that there's going to be celebrations throughout the year. And I wondered if maybe this would be a fun time to fly our West Covina flag. I think that would be kind of interesting. It was designed in 1976, and it would be nice to see it again. So I just wondered what the possibilities were. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Mayor?
Yes,
Mayor?
Councilmember Sykes.
Ms. Fleck?
Yes.
Is there a website that we can view your event that's coming up?
Oh, yes, there is. It's
Could we have that, please?
SG.
Is that okay, Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely. As a matter of fact, I'm hoping maybe we can...
SGVLitFest.com. And the Litfest is L-I-T-F-E-S-T.
Okay.
And the people in charge are really dedicated and wonderful people. One is a professor at Mount SAC that teaches creative writing. The other one is at Whittier College that teaches writing also. And there will be all kinds of people. And it's an international thing. They're having people from, I think, Sweden and places like that. So it's really, really
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And I know we've been talking about putting a board up behind us during meetings so that people can see what events that we do have coming up. And I know if we can incorporate those type of events. And I know Mr. Hughes that was here earlier was, you know, saying a bunch of different events, and maybe the people would like to know about that as well. So at this time, it concludes our oral communications. Thank you, everyone, for coming out and expressing your concerns. That's how we make better city government, by talking to each other and trying to see what the residents would like. And it sounds like we've heard some things about the fire department, and rest assured that's something that we are definitely talking about. It's always interesting when you get to hear it through the newspaper what your city needs. So I definitely would love to hear from everyone, and now that we have Mr. Chung in place, I have been hearing a lot more, getting a lot more information, so fantastic. We will work on that, so thank you very much. And with that, concludes our oral communications, and we will move on to our consent calendar. If I have a motion, if any items need to be pulled on that item.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I have a motion.
I second.
I have a motion and a second on the consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 4-0. That concludes our consent calendar, and we move on to item number 13. And just give me one moment while I pull those papers forward. This item is set for public hearing. This consists of an appeal of the Planning Commission denial of a variance number 0912, an administrative use permit 1219, to deviate from the required side yard setbacks and allow a second-story addition to an existing single-family home. The proposal is to legalize the existing additions to the property located at 3008 Cordova Court. The property is located within the single-family resident R1. Will City Clerk please verify that the proper legal notice has been given? Yes, that's verified. Thank you so much. And at this time, I'll open the public hearing on the appeal of the variance number 12-09 and the administrative use permit 12-19.
First, we will have the presentation of the staff report, and then we shall hear from those in favor of this appeal, and then those opposed of the appeal. Finally, those in favor of the appeal will have the opportunity to give rebuttal of any testimony received in opposition. Mr. Chung, who will present that staff report?
Yes, Mr. Anderson will present that staff report tonight.
Thank you so much.
We have a PowerPoint presentation. We're having some difficulty getting it to work. Okay, very good. If we could have the lights turned down, that would be helpful. The property owner here is Barbara Ma. She's appealed the decision of the Planning Commission to allow 2 additions to the house at 3008 Cordova Court. The subject property is located on the east side of Citrus Street and is accessed via Las Rosas Drive. So the property is here. This is Las Rosas Drive, which goes up down this way, where Citrus is on over this way a little bit. The property is a large lot of approximately 30,000 square feet with a 2-story, 3,422 square foot house located upon it. The property is in an area of varied topography, with the lot increasing in elevation at the rear of the lot. So the front of the lot, which is down here on this site plan, which we'll be looking at several times, is lower in elevation than the rear of the lot, and it's substantial. The appeal requests the approval of 2 additions to the house that were done without the benefit of building permits. The first addition is located here, and we're going to be looking at a photo on the next slide from this direction. This addition is a 168 square foot 1-story addition on the west side of the lot. This addition requires the approval of a variance to reduce the required 10-foot side yard setback to 7 feet 2 inches. This is what the addition looks like if you're looking from the rear of the lot towards the front of the lot. And you can see that there is a breezeway that's also constructed here that will have to be removed because it's basically near the property line. The second addition is a 185 square foot addition to the second floor of the house on the southeast corner of the house, which requires the approval of an administrative use permit to allow a second-story addition. So that's the orange here, located right here. The other addition was on this side. Again, the street is here. We'll be looking at a picture that's looking at that addition, or 2 pictures actually, that's looking at that addition from this angle. This is a picture of the addition. You can see it above here. And there's a patio cover that's below it. And then this is a picture of the second story that you can see above the patio. The Planning Commission reviewed the proposal on November 20th, 2012. At that hearing, the applicant was requesting the 2 additions to the house, as well as a variance to allow a 1,053 square foot guest house at the rear of the lot that required the approval of a variance for side yard setback and for guest house size. And that 1,053 square foot guest house was in 2 parts, which are colored here. The red is the larger part, which is a cinema, and the blue is a smaller part, which was is a gym. And again, we have 2 pictures. The first picture we're going to look at is looking at it from the backyard of the house towards the structure, and the second picture is looking at it from the south side of the lot uphill down towards the additions. So this is the addition from looking at the back of the house to the front side of the guest house. And this picture, actually there's 2 pictures of on the back side. This is the back side. You may lose it there in the pines, but it's because of the elevation change, this is the roof. And you can see that a little bit better here, how much of a retaining wall there is that forms the back part of that building wall. The Planning Commission discussed concerns with the integrity of the structures, alteration of drainage patterns, and soil stabilization at the site. Commissioners Holtz and Woods voted against the proposal based on concerns that the structures were built without city review. Commissioners Stewart and Menifee voted in favor of the proposal since the lot is large enough to accommodate the structures and the project would not be detrimental to adjacent properties. The vote was 2-2, which is basically a deemed denial because they didn't get enough votes to approve it. At that time, there were only 4 commissioners sitting on the commission. The applicant elected to appeal only the 2 additions to the house. Again, just to reiterate that, that's the one story on this side and the 2-story on this side. That's what the applicant is appealing to you tonight in an attempt to get those approved. The applicant is requesting the approval of a variance to allow the 168-square-foot room addition and the approval of an administrative use permit to allow the 185-square-foot second-story addition. The applicant does understand that they will be required to obtain building permits and complete the inspection process, and they also understand that the guest house would have to be removed or modified to comply with zoning code requirements. That concludes staff presentation. This time, we'll be happy to answer any questions.
Council have any questions? Councilmember Sotelo.
Mr. Anderson, the gym and the other house, are they going to be brought up to code?
They would have to be brought up to code either by removing them altogether or reconstructing them so that they met the 640-square-foot maximum size and the setback.
Now, there are other houses, other structures in the back of the house, isn't there?
There are some other structures. You can sort of see them here. There's a storage building here, which is a non-habitable structure, and there's a pool equipment. This is a pool equipment. It's a building that holds the pool equipment for the swimming pool. Those buildings are not guest houses because they're not habitable.
So they don't have to be brought up to city code?
I'm sorry, they do have to be brought up to city code, but they're allowed by right. They don't need a variance. They can get a permit for those structures without going through a process like this.
So when they get done, then they're going to get a permit for all their buildings, they're going to go through all that stuff, and then they want to keep those two, but those are the two variances. They're not asking for the variance for the gym and for the 700-some-foot guest house then?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I have a real quick question. There was, in the report, it says that the setback is 10 feet, and they're trying to go with the 7.5. Is that correct?
7 foot 2 inch.
Oh, 7.2, I'm sorry, 7.2. So that's the difference.
That's the difference.
there.
It's 2 foot 8 inches.
Got it.
2 foot 10 inches.
Okay.
Gotta
I
do
just
my
wanted
math
some
better.
clarification on that. Great, fantastic. Thank you so much for the staff report. And if we have any other questions of council at this time, Councilmember Sykes.
Department Director, in the event that there's some sort of failure with the slope or with the buildings themselves, when we approve this, and if there is a failure, we're held to answer as a city?
Let me see if I can answer that question. If the variances are approved tonight and the structures are allowed to remain, the applicant would then have to go through the building permit process, submit the plans showing the structural portion of the work, do any soils testing, basically go through the plan check procedure that would be required for a new structure, and then at that point it would also have to be inspected. It is built already, so it is actually a little more difficult for them to show that, but the applicant, I've been told, is confident that it was built to code and would be willing to expose some of the construction so that the inspectors can verify it. Typically what they would do is go and spot check certain areas that are key dimensions of the footings or the framing, and if they find those areas okay, they get a comfort level with the construction. If they find problems in there, other areas could have to be opened up.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, at this time, speaking in favor, I have two cards. First one is Barbara Ma.
Can we have the lights turned up, please?
Good evening, Mayor and the council member and the city managers and everyone. I'm here, I'm presenting myself for the house owner, and I'm coming here to request the opportunity to keep whatever that's being built by previous or with the theater and the gym by afterwards, but I will comply with the city and do whatever the follow up for whatever the law requires. Yeah, just legalize all those properties, please.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I have another speaker. It says in favor. Eileen Maita.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, Mayor, and council members. My name is Ellen Mayetta, and I'm a 48-year resident of West Covina. I realize that that makes me about more than half of the entire history of West Covina. I found out by that lady earlier. I said, oh my goodness. I'm here on behalf of my neighbor, Barbara Ma, just to put in a word that everything that she has done with her yard, I live right behind her, basically at 945. So I'm pretty high, because her house has a steep hillside where you saw this was built right here. And if anyone maybe were to be bothered by this, it would be me, and it all looks very nice in keeping with the rest of her house, all stuccoed. Her yard's always very clean. I also know that she's a very good person with regard to, I could vouch for her that she will comply with you in any way that you need. She's not a difficult person at all. And in addition to that, the only other thing that I would say would be that my husband is the president of our homeowners association and has been for many years. He's an attorney here in West Covina. And no one has come forward at all from the whole development to say anything about anything that has happened at that residence. So, and the homeowners association has not had a problem with it either, with anything that she's done. So I just wanted to say that, and thank you very much for having us here. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming tonight and speaking on behalf of your neighbor. If there's any else, I don't have any other speaker cards. Any other council discussion? Question, Councilmember Sotelo.
Mr. Anderson, so the whole property will be brought up to code? Everything can be done, and everything's going to get inspected, even the things that aren't listed in the...
Yes, actually, there is a list of things that's not before you tonight because it doesn't require a variance or any kind of approvals, but there's a lot of things that need to be brought up to code. We have a list. We've talked to Mrs. Ma. We'll continue to work with her to bring not just these items that are before you tonight, but all the other items up to code.
Thank you.
All right. Any other comments? Councilmember Herford.
I did go to the house today and take a look, and I got to say, it's probably in the 22 years of being on the city council, probably one of the most largest building projects without a permit that I've ever seen. So it kind of shocked me that you could do all that and nobody would say anything. But anyway, I think that this is an acceptable solution at this stage. And then if we can have our building department make sure everything is up to code, I think that that is good. But as I apologize, I forgot your name. The neighbor, though, as she has stated, I haven't heard any outcry from the neighborhood. So I think that it's acceptable in the climate of the neighborhood there. So I'll support it.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I would like to just say I appreciate the staff working with the neighbors and the resident, because that's what this is all about. I'm glad you were able to come to us, and you're saying you wanted to make it right, and we understand that most of us that are homeowners, we want to improve our house and make it a nicer place. So we appreciate you coming forward and working with city and the staff working with you. So I agree with where we're going forward, and in hopes that everybody works out and everything is good, because you want to enjoy your home and you want to be safe too. You don't want things falling over. So I think that we're going in the right direction here, and I think it was very nice that your neighbor came out and that you have such a wonderful neighbor that is able to work with you, and that's just really, really great. So we appreciate that, and at this point, if there's no other comments, a motion is in order.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the two resolutions if we can get the numbers on those.
That's Resolution 2013-7, which approves the variance. Second Resolution 2013-8, which approves the administrative use permit.
I'll make a motion to approve those two resolutions.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you very much. Our next item on the agenda is departmental regular matters, which is the city clerk's office. This is the review of the letters of interest in consideration to the appointment to fill the vacancy on the city council for the expired term ending November 2013. We have a Council, do you need a staff report, or did you want to have a way, what's the council's pleasure on how we want to deal with this? First of all, let me say thank you to everybody that's applied. You are all wonderful candidates. I was really exciting, reading through everyone, and we're getting good at this. This is the third time that we've got to appoint somebody, so I think we're pretty familiar with the process. But I'd like to know what the council and how they would like to nominate or would like a staff report.
Madam Mayor, I'll go first.
Okay.
First off, I want to thank all the applicants. It is always an honor to serve the public, and for everybody that submitted an application, thank you so much for offering up that service. As you may have noticed by the council meeting tonight and some of the meetings we've had in the last couple of years, it's not always a pleasant job. It's more of a do the job and get it done right type job. So you have to take away from the council meetings the fact that there's 118,000 residents in West Covina, and even though some people are not happy with things that they think are major issues in the city, most people are happy to have the police department and the fire department there every night when they go to bed or during the day to protect them, and that's really our job. So with that, I will say there's a couple things that I looked at in this process. Number one, I didn't want to select anybody who attacked another candidate. So anybody who was critical of another candidate, I didn't think that was what I was looking for. I want people that are positive. I want people that are independent. I want people or a person that is very involved in the community and has some business knowledge, because West Covina, our future lies with our business decisions and moving forward. So those were my 4 criteria. So with that, I have a short list, but I assume somebody will throw out a name, or we'll take a vote on it. But that's the way I went about the process.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Well, as being a person who was appointed, I realize the pleasure and the honor to be put on this council and the responsibility you do when you take into council. And sometimes it's the greatest thing in the world, is living a dream. Sometimes it's not all that fun when some people come up and make accusations that are unfounded. But like, putting that aside, I looked through the names, and there's a lot of names, and it's a lot of great people in these lists of names. A lot of people I've served with and a lot of people I've worked with over the years. And some people I just got to know. But I appreciate everybody putting their name and everything in this list, and I guess we'll go through right now and we'll vote and we'll make a motion and all that, or how are we going to do this, ma'am?
Councilmember Sykes.
First of all, I also would like to say thank you for the folks who decided to step up and submit their names and indicate that they wanted to be involved in our government. And I also want to say that I'm disappointed in our lack of response from the public. I would have preferred that we had the money if things were correct. That way the people could have stepped up and made a selection. That is the best way, because we up here are supposed to represent your interests. That's why you vote for someone, because you trust them to protect and look out for your interests. But West Covina, we really don't step up when it comes to our voting. So if we had put it to a vote, the majority would not have spoken. The majority would have stayed home. And so tonight, because of our financial situation, we're about to select a person that is supposed to be your voice, a voice for somewhere between 108 to 112,000 people. And most of the seats seem to be filled by folks that do not even live here. We got a lot of empty seats in this place tonight. And it just shows the lack of interest. And that to me is pretty sad. So we got an election, folks, that's coming up in November. And hopefully the majority will wake up. We have 50,000 that are registered to vote. That's pretty sad. Out of 108 to 112,000 people, we only have 50,000 who have registered to vote. So, with that having been said, let's, without further ado, let's proceed with who's going to be the voice. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that a resident spoke earlier and said, you know, you have specific criteria. And, you know, I agree. And that's kind of how I think we're all sitting here saying, okay, we've got all these names. We need to make a choice. And I agree. I think number one would be honest. We want somebody that's going to be honest. We want somebody that's going to be positive, somebody with experience, and somebody that's independent. And then it's interesting because people will come up and say, you know, oh, special interests and whatnot. And I can say, you know, my interest is the best for this community. I live here. I own a home here. I have a family here. My kids go to school here. I want this city to be the best that it possibly can be. So with that, I looked at all the names. I reviewed everybody's applications. I met with people. I made phone calls to come up with where we were going. And one of the things I'd like to kind of disagree with Councilmember Sykes, and I understand what he's saying, and I agree. I wish more people would get involved. But also people voted for this council, or for the council, to make decisions. And tonight, no matter what and who we choose, we're going to make some people very happy, and we're going to make some people not happy. There's no getting out of that door tonight after we make our decision and not disappointing and angering somebody. So it's a difficult position to be up here, but I think we ran to make those choices. And I feel that I hope the people trust that I'm here to make the best choices that I possibly can, and that's what I want to do. So with that, I know you probably all want to just get down to who's being appointed. So what I'd like to do, if it's okay with council, is we could start with a name, if like that's how we've done it before, and then, you know, take a vote on each name, because I know, like other council, we probably have our list, you know, of our first choices, and it was difficult to come up with those names. So with that, do you want to start?
Madam Mayor, I'll throw out my first name, which is Andrew McIntyre.
Okay, and any other comments? I know that honestly, it was one of my tops, so I would second that emotion. I think that would be a good choice. Any other comments?
Madam Mayor, with that choice, it brings to mind a word, and that's money. Money that influences conflict of interest. It induces the public to vote against their best interests. Money has caused this city some serious problems that a lot of people still don't see. But money has undermined the values of our property and the qualities of our life. It has forced some of our most precious items that we have to have to go to school in an area where we don't want to live. But because the schools were not put in place, we had the master plan, which had the land that was there. And because people weren't involved, and I was one of them, that's why I'm on the council now. That's why I had to work so hard to try to make up for where I dropped the ball, especially on those little children I see walking out of the safety of our community and having to go into an area where now we have to trust another entity, not our government, not our police. We have to trust another entity to take care of our most precious ones, the children that are starting school. You can check in parts of town, you'll see no elementary schools. We were not paying attention. Furthermore, when I started coming here, I saw a community come to this council and beg and plead because they were watching the erosion of what they had built in the way of comfort with their property. And we gave 7 variances. Our government gave 7 variances against this community, where there was some parts of that community there was invasion of privacy. If they had swimming pools in their backyard and so forth, and they had been living there sometimes maybe 20, 30 years. With those variances now from that new building that was going to be put there, that new complex, that new development, people could see into their backyards. They had worked hard to design their homes, to maintain their property. I saw some of the women leave, some of the mothers leave, openly weeping. And I saw some of the men who had worked hard for their property. They're left with tears in their eyes. That's what I think of when I see this person about to be appointed to the city council. I just do not see how the interests of the people and the interests of the new incoming council member can occupy this dais at the same time. It's not possible. The interests of the people are going to be disregarded. That's what's happened in the past. And we're also here, as someone else pointed out earlier as they spoke about how we act as a council. When you recuse yourself, that's declaring a conflict. When you recuse yourself, you're saying, people, I can't protect your interests. I can't assert your interests. I can't speak for you tonight because I have another interest. And that's the interest that's taking precedent. So therefore, because it's against the law for me to represent both interests at the same time from the same place, I have to exit. I have to shirk my responsibility at this point in time. I have to leave and let someone else speak. I do not think that that's what the people would be voting for, is for someone not to be able to speak for them oftentimes. So I can't support, I mean, I looked at his record. I know he's a wonderful supporter for the community, especially in Covina and here in West Covina. But to be on the city council and knowing that the people, their interests is what we're supposed to be here for first and foremost, I can't support that person tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Sotelo.
I see a different person. I see a family that's given the city, the McIntyre Square, when everything was bleak and it was dead and there was no buildings there. The man put a quality building in there. They risked their money, they risked themselves to do this, all right? I know people are going to disagree with me. I have to agree with my fellow council members. I cannot put someone down because who their family is, because their family is rich, or their family is this, or their family is giving money. They've given the city of West Covina. They've been a part of the city of West Covina. All right? You can say anything you want about me, but this is how, I honestly believe, how do you put down someone that gave something to West Covina and what they've done to our community and the follow community, Covina? I think they've been an asset to all of us, and because you're going to put them down because they have a building, I can't do this. I will support the man at this time.
Okay, thank you. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 3-2.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'm going to,
Excuse me, it's just 3-1, just for clarification.
I'm sorry. Habit. 3-1. Can I correct Miss City Clerk for the, yes. Councilmember Herford.
I just want to say for the record, I don't really understand what Councilmember Sykes said. If somebody, if you want to explain it to me later, maybe, but are you alluding to him being a white man?
Madam Mayor? Madam Mayor?
I really don't
I don't want to,
understand.
you know what, let's not have a back and forth. I'm not going to allow.
No. Madam
Okay, you know what, I'm not going to allow the back and forth. We take a motion a second, and you know what? If it would be a good time to, we can call for a break. I'd like to call for a break, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. Thank you.
I don't know.
No, break.
I don't know.
Use the restroom.
Everybody vote in November. Get it? I definitely will vote in November. I can't believe you said that.
I don't know how this works. Can I make a little comment with the box? Oh, okay. Thank you.
fight through with the limit.
We're going to get a sponsor for the city golf tournament.
Yeah, you want to play? Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll work on it. No. Really, that's one thing that happens is the money runs out. You know?
Is your back cooking yet with this heater?
It's hot,
By
yeah.
the way, you are on the top of my list.
Hey, hey, that doesn't look like Jan to me.
No, it doesn't, does it?
Where's Fred? Okay, we're going to get back together, everyone. Please have your seats. Okay, thank you. I have everybody's attention. I would like to briefly take this opportunity as he's walking up the stairs, turn around, come back. I'd like you to come up to the dais and introduce yourself. And congratulations. An amazing, amazing person of our community. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. I am so stoked to be representing West Covina. I'm a lifelong resident here. I was literally born here. I graduated from USC and decided to come back here and make this city a better place. I went to school with a lot of different people from Southern California at USC, and it would really irk me sometimes when they say, West Covina, where's that at? And I would just be like, it's going to be my goal my whole life to let the whole state of California and everybody I know what a great city West Covina is. And I'm just pumped. I'm honored that you have confidence in me, or at least some of you, that I'm going to be an upstanding citizen that is going to look out for the interests of the citizens. My family's been a part of this community for 1943 was when they came out on Garvey. Every project we've ever done, we've tried to improve the community. I think it's pretty much guaranteed that every project we've ever done has improved the community. And I bring a 60-year track record of doing the right thing and looking out for the betterment of the community. We wouldn't keep doing projects or be able to have people say good things about our projects if we didn't do the right thing all the time. Therefore, I'm just really excited. I'm honored. Thank you. And I look forward to a very exciting 2013.
Very good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is our successor agency. We will recess the city council meeting. Let me get my computer up back here. Okay. We will recess the city council meeting at 8:48 and convene the successor agency meeting. We have our separate agenda, your yellow agenda. Roll call.
Chairman Sanderson?
Here.
Vice Chairman Herford?
Here.
Board Member Sotelo?
Here.
Board Member Sykes?
Here.
Any changes to the agenda, Mr. City Manager?
No changes to the agenda?
Thank you very much. And our consent calendar,
Madam Mayor,
motion
make
is in
a
order.
Motion to approve the consent calendar.
I'll second the motion.
A motion and a second. All in favor for approval of the consent?
Aye.
Opposed? That goes 4-0. And we will now,
Motion to adjourn.
thank you. You're quick. Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me one
Motion
second.
carries 4-0. Yes, sir? Is that on this agenda?
I think it's the
I-
next one.
Yeah, next. Yeah, it's not on this agenda.
It's fine.
I apologize.
Appropriate.
Yeah, motion to adjourn, and which we did. And now we will reconvene the city council meeting at 8:50 p.m. And we're at mayor council member reports. And if we have, this is AB, well, this isn't that same conference, is that correct? Okay. And reports. I actually earlier, when a speaker was here talking in reference to the gun control, I think that was a fantastic idea. City staff, I'm going to be calling you and talking to the chief and seeing what we can do on that, because I've been actually trying to think of some ideas where maybe we can, in combination with the schools, I've been kind of just having some conversations with the city manager in training, like we have earthquake safety, and we have for the kids at school, they have earthquake drills, fire drills, and I wanted to see how maybe we could do like violence control type drills and training the schools, and so that's something that maybe we can bring back at a later meeting. With that, anyone else have any other investigations, report studies. I see two hands. We'll go with Councilmember Sotelo and then Councilmember Sykes.
I would like to, if we can have a study on maintaining and buying new fire equipment. Okay, I'd like to see if staff can come up with a study where we could sit there and see about the feasibility of buying new equipment, and also about a feasibility of, for both our police and fire, developing a fund for we don't have to keep, we have money growing and we have money on the side. I realize Chris Chung's been working on other things, and that's keeping the firemen here. I appreciate that. But there is a definite need to get new equipment. And also, I'd like to open up the new doors and new avenues for, I don't hear about this in the paper next time, that if we are really this much in disarray, that it comes to the council before it goes to the paper, that we know if there's that much damage. I mean, the last newspaper article we received wasn't too favorable for our city, so I would like to see if there's any way we can get the communication flowing a little bit better, where we know what's going on and be more proactive. And I'd like to see about the new fire equipment. That's my motion.
Okay, all right, Chris, Mr. City Manager, and Chris. We got two Chris's. That's making it really difficult, you know. Okay, Councilmember Sykes.
I'd just like to report that I attended a conference that was over in the University of Laverne. They're trying to work on becoming a real important regional participant with our water infrastructure. And as a regional approach to solving our water problems, they also had the assistance from Judy Chu, who's able to bring grants from the federal government to help out. And the most important thing about having a university being involved in this is getting out to the most important ingredient going forward for our community, the people themselves, getting information about how we can deter the waste of water. And with that institution, they're even trying to get water to become a resource that's going to help drive the economic situation that we have to try to bring our region back with bringing more jobs and improving our situation here, in particular with how we waste water. And that's the intent of the project, is to get us, the end user, to be more understanding and aware of how much water costs, say, in Europe, and how expensive it is versus how easy it is here. For when you turn the tap on, it's very reliable. And because of that reliability and the low cost, that's why we're able to see, when you drive down the street a lot of times, water just running down the drain. So they're going to be bringing information forward to try to get us to improve how we use water. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, if there's...
Madam Mayor,
Mayor Pro Tem Herford.
I have a AB 1234 report to make. I attended the 25th annual winter seminar of the Independent Cities Association in Santa Barbara. Topics of discussion were public safety. We also were addressed by the Attorney General, or District Attorney for the City of for the County of Los Angeles, and Jackie Lacey. She was a keynote speaker, and Councilmember Sotelo was also in attendance. So maybe you want to cover some of the other stuff.
They also went through working with negotiations with police and fire, and then we had met with different cities, and it was interesting. I was just telling Mr. Bachman he did a great job, because a lot of the keynote speakers tried to tell us what we had to do and how to be prepared for when you go into negotiations. And this was the first negotiation I went through, and he had us prepared. It was a learning experience, and I really appreciate going. And it was awesome to meet all the different cities, because they had a lot of them have the same problems, the same things we deal with. But it was neat to see how every one of them dealt with it different ways. So it was a great learning experience, and I had a great time.
Councilmember Sykes.
Also, I want to not overlook those people who did show up tonight. I was definitely disappointed in the fact that we had such a small group of our community turn out. But for those folks who did brave the inclement weather, and a lot of us do not appreciate driving at night, and I just want to say thank you for those who did come and get involved and spoke at the podium, and those gentlemen who did submit their names. I just say, please stay involved. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that, I have a couple of adjournments tonight's meeting. I would like to adjourn in memory of Congresswoman Grace Napolitano's daughter, Yolanda Maria Lowers. We would also like to adjourn in memory of longtime West Covina resident Patrick Bellino. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families. I know it's difficult times, especially, just people you love, and I think that's more what we need to keep in our hearts is no matter what goes on and what people say, that it starts with you and your kindness towards others. So with that, I'd like to have a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I don't see anybody opposing our adjournment. So good night, and thank you all for coming.